my colleagues. And today my presentation won't be that long because the first time I make my research proposal, the topic is impact of HRM practices on organizational performance in China, mediated with the CEO support. But that time you gave me some suggestion, like we should make some more meaningful research. And I think that's right. And so I want to change my orientation for like screen. During this time, I read some papers, but I'm afraid to say that the orientation, the direction is still not that clear, but I think I will just work on it. Such as the first topic is the corporate social responsibility impacts on organizational human resource management. Because recently I'm writing a paper. I will talk about it later. And the second one is about the role of human resource management in CSR. And the third choice, I think, is corporate social responsibility, human resource management, and sustainability. Because recently, the sustainability or the sustainable development has got more concern. So I think they have some relationships. But this time, I will talk about the first one because recently I read papers around this. The first topic. And first one, a description of the researchable topic. This research topic encircles corporate social responsibility, repercussion on employees in an organization involving human resource management discipline. There have been separate studies on these topics without careful consideration of the overlap on one another. So this research will focus on a look at how micro-level CSR activity outcomes affects the employees in an organization. I think it's similar with Jolly's research, focus on the micro level. And the background, the objective is to develop an understanding through exploratory story of how an organization's interaction with CSR influences its employees holistically, both personal and professional. And prime focus areas are recruiting, job security, and performance commitment engagement. And current understanding and thinking of how employees perform analytically demanding tasks involves autonomy, mastery, and purpose to develop intrinsic motivation. So employees' sense of purpose in relation to CSR contribution is not extensively examined. And by clear and comprehensive insight into CSR contribution to an employees' sense of belief and purpose, human resource management could reap significant benefits. So upon completing this research, I think we can anticipate that various micro-level CSR issues are exhaustively studied and examined. And as some scholars research, the CSR focusing employees in an organization is practically an unexplored field, as various authors have pointed out that the employees are the most significant stakeholders of the organization. And so employee engagement and interaction is shown to be a critical factor in determining organizational performance and gain competitive advantage. So the second target is the extent to which CSR plays a role in human resource functionality to release its motives can be looked into this research. And more, the research in the topic is not new. Because in the last maybe 10 years, we have so many scholars research on this topic. But I think we can find something new because the corporations are not only liable to their main shareholders and investors, but are also increasingly concerned about the responsibility towards their external stakeholders, like societal and community members and environmental sustainability. So this research also pins hope on how HRM activities, hiring right people, training and retaining, engagement, motivation, and development. Another aspect is how employees psychologically can be affected by initiatives of CSR practice and performance within the organization. So in conclusion, I think maybe I have several aims. The first one, the focus here is to look at how micro level CSR activity outcomes affects the employees in an organization. And the second one, the extent to which CSR plays a role in human resource functionality to release its motives can be looked into in this research. And this research also pins a hope on how HRM activities hiring right people, training and retaining, to benefit the company and that also benefit the society because make a right person in the right position. And the last one, another aspect is how employees psychologically can be affected by initiatives of CSR practice and performance within the organization. And recently, okay. Recently, I'm writing a paper about my topic. That is, the title is Research on Relationship Between Social Responsibility and Organizational Commitment of Construction Enterprises. The keywords are corporate social responsibility, employee satisfaction, and organizational commitment. These are as variables. And why do I choose construction enterprises? I think it's similar to Zhao Lei's topic, because in recent years, with the increasingly serious environmental problems, together with labor disputes, consumer complaints, and other incidents emerging continuously, corporation social responsibility is getting more and more attention from the public. And compared with other industries, and I think the construction industry has a more direct impact on the environment and ecology, and should bear the brunt in the practice of corporation social responsibility. And on the basis of some literature review, and I want to analyze the connotation and importance of construction enterprise social responsibility, as well as the impact of organizational commitment, and then constructs the relationship between the social responsibility and organizational commitment, and maybe through some empirical research. That's what I do recently, but not that deep. According to my research, I think maybe first one, I have some questions. First one, or whether it's more reasonable or a correct direction. Then the last one, this is my first question. And second one, I think I should more concentrate. For example, focus on an special industry, or how to continue my research. For example, I still need some data collection or some like that. But firstly, I want to choose my research direction like this. And I need your suggestion, Professor, whether it is better than the last one, I think. But still not that focus, I think. Okay.
Okay. You done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your last slide. Can I look at your last slide again? The last one.
I have some further ones, just like literature review, but I think that's not that important. This one?
You have your research questions there, research objective there. Can I look at research objective? Or your
This
research objectives? No, I kind of go down another 3 slides down.
Not this one?
One more down. Another one. One more. That's it. Another one. Okay. Okay.
CSR potential in supporting various disciplines of HRM functions, and if there's any intrinsic motivation for employees in a firm towards CSR. And
okay, let me understand what you have in mind. So you are, the general your general research theme, right, is the CSR impact on organizational human resource management. Right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at that one as a theme right now. I'm not sure where your research questions are. This one is not very clear where your research questions are. But maybe you're still searching for your research questions. But generally, you want to look at CSR impact on organizational human resource management. Now, initially, you wanted to look at the role of CEO as well, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. But no, that's actually a crucial part of CSR, by the way. Why do I say CSR? Before I started to become a lecturer, university lecturer, I was a consultant. I was a management consultant as well. So one of the things we see is that without top management commitment, right, employees or executives or managers would not interpret something as important. It is important when the top management says it's important.
Yeah.
When top management says it's important, really care about it, they will care about it. So oftentimes they say, the real customer is not the customer outside. The customer is only one, the boss. Right? The boss, you listen to the boss, right? So in some ways, the role of CEO or top management, right, is still crucial. I don't know whether you want to still look at that or you do not want to look at that. It seems like you are. I'm not sure I'm getting the sense of you're interested to see from the employee's point of view as well? Am I right? Is that when you look at from the employees? You have employee satisfaction there, right?
Yeah.
Right? You have employee satisfaction there.
And the last few pages is just a short paper I'm writing now. I mean, I put CSR, HRM, and employee satisfaction in it.
All right, all
And
right. So are you interested in that one, in that area, employee satisfaction and employees?
that's one thing. I think that's one of the micro level CSR.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think I want to choose my direction as CSR and HRM, but the connection or the intermediate variables, I'm still not that sure.
Let me take a step back, right? Before we even look at CSR, right? Now,
Mm.
China has a long tradition of social responsibility, right? Before, I mean, China is a, is a, what is it? Uh, is a 工厂，什么怎样说呢？工厂
Factory 工厂
工
是吗？
厂党工厂
哦，共产党，
对嘛？中
嗯，
国人民工厂什么？
中国共产党
不是共产
是吗？是
呃
要说什么？
the whole China has the communist tradition of China is actually born out of social responsibility.
嗯，
So if you look, right,
yeah.
the communist revolution is about the employees' revolution. It's about the workers' revolution, right? I'm not. I don't want to be ideological or political, but I analyze this part of the world, which is the what I call the Nusantara, the archipelago world. But in China, there's an older tradition to organization that is, the collective commune, this
共产主义，共产主义
共产
是吗
主义是不是那
？Yeah，
个
共产或者集体主义。I
？So
mean, we
let,
we
let,
work together and we get the benefit together. Right?
So yeah. Let me describe what I understand last time. Since I kind of studied a bit, and Chinese history, one of my favorite histories, by the way. I told I'm not sure I told you, my minor is in history, Chinese history specifically. So one of the things that were being created under the communist revolution, right, was that you organize the community around production processes, right? So the when there's a problem, you go to this collective entity, right? It's not called a company. I think there's another word for it. I don't know what the word is.
公社是吗？是
公司是
公
company
社，公社是吗？
公司是
公社是公社，not company。
okay. Anyway,
just
whatever they
just a
call
community and people
community.
work. Yeah,
It's a
community.
working community. It's a
Yeah.
working collective, right? So whenever there's a problem, you go to the head of this community to solve problem. It can be about just about any problem, right? So the head of this collective community will help to solve the problem of the community, right? And it can be about work, it can be about the education, it can be about anything, right? So
Oh,
correct me if I'm wrong, right? But then so there is that tradition in China since the revolution, right? So the tradition is a tradition of shared responsibility. Yeah.
share responsibility.
Shared responsibility. The responsibility is not the individual; it's the collective responsibility, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that and with the revolution, the government created a structure around this collective or shared responsibility, including work responsibility and all that, right? So why am I talking about this, I want you to look, and this is true for Chao too, right? For those who are studying CSR in China, right? That China has a tradition of social responsibility prior to CSR. CSR is a new concept. Concept-wise, the terminology is new, but China, the China's tradition
traditional.
is already there. If before this term came about, you know what I'm saying now? Even before this term came about, the Chinese people, the Chinese community already have this idea of responsibility and collective responsibility, social responsibility, in other words, right? So then bear that in mind when you study something like this, right? Um, I do not know.
So do you think that's really similar to each other? I mean, the traditional Chinese
I don't know. I
with
haven't studied
CSR.
this in China. I would love to study this in China. I think there would be something that is. I mean, Jimin, the whole revolution in China is about the revolution of the employees, right? It's a workers' revolution, right? What are we talking about? It's the
Okay,
work,
okay. I
right?
think that's a very new and a unique point of view
Yeah.
because I never read this kind of paper.
Okay.
This
Okay. Yeah.
two things, you know, the CSR is a new coming new
Yeah.
concept.
CSR is a Western term, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Western.
But,
But
yeah, so I just want you to reflect on this one. After all, this is a PhD. PhD is a higher level of thinking where you go deeper and you understand more. And as a person who is being colonized so many times, let's not be having this colonized mindset that before the CSR we do not know what social responsibility is, right? Especially people in China, social responsibility is one of the most important things, right? Uh, uh, the government,
yeah.
the government until today think. I mean, I'm not. I do not. I'm not being taking sides, whatever. Think along the ways of responsibility, and then look at. And I had a conversation with Kyla. Look at what the government did with social media lately. The social media that the children can only the government has limited the number of hours children can play video games, right? The fans, the celebrity, fans uh, glorifying the celebrities, right? And the Chinese government says you got to stop, glorifying and this all this fan community. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but the government is thinking like a parent. The government is thinking like a father and mother, right?
Yeah.
So come in, right? And that is the Chinese government, and that's a Chinese mindset. That sense of responsibility, like a parent, like a father, like a mother. So
Yeah.
you know what I
The
mean?
members help each other
Yeah,
to
yeah, and
solve.
it is, you can call it hierarchical, you can call it authoritarian, whatever you want to call it, but that is part of the Chinese culture or Chinese tradition. So when you study something like this, right? Maybe, all right, maybe it'd be much more fascinating. It would be much more meaningful to bring out those local wisdom, the local knowledge, the traditional knowledge of Chinese culture, of Chinese consciousness, Chinese sense of responsibility, and look and see the connection with the realities right now, whether the employees or whether the company still have that sense of responsibility, what kind of responsibility they have, and uh, you know, can you reconnect to the long tradition that Chinese has with the sense of responsibility, and so uh, I sometimes being a former British colony, I'm saddened with the fact that we are experiencing what is called the colonial epistemicide. You know, our knowledge has been colonized, has been killed. Epistemicide, right?
You missed the past.
Yeah, and then suddenly we have to learn new concept like CSR. Don't misunderstand me. In Malaysia, I'm the first one who offer the course on CSR in Malaysia, right? The first PhD in CSR is also from CenPRIS from me, right? So I'm not against CSR as CSR itself, but I'm against CSR as a colonized concept, right? So so maybe people like you, maybe like people like Chao Lei can also look into the connection with the Chinese sense of consciousness, Chinese sense of responsibility. Maybe there are certain words, maybe there are certain concepts, maybe there's certain inner conscience, right? That you can capture, that you can reconnect, and that will be a great contribution to knowledge. To talk about CSR, but from the Chinese local wisdom, traditional knowledge point of view, but modernized in today's world, of course, in contemporary world.
Yeah, I think that's meaningful, and maybe we as Chinese have some profit, benefit, advantages to this kind of research. And it's really very strange that, as you know, maybe in a long time ago, we have this kind of, such as we share the work, we do the work together and we share the benefits. But now, for the companies, especially the small, medium or small sized companies, and the benefit is the most important thing. And really not that many companies take responsibilities, I think, because they have to survive, they have to get more benefit, and in the fast developing company, I think. So I really want to find the connection. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe in the long ago we pay much attention to this, but why we lose it now?
Yes. One thing China did well, unlike many other countries, right, is that China has a long-term perspective. China plays a long-term game. China have a longer sense of history. When Donald Trump came in, the Chinese government said, "Okay, we just wait him out. Just outlive him. Right? We do not have to even fight him that much. Right? We just outlive him." After 4 years, he left. Right? That American democracy for 4 years, 8 years, they leave. But, the Chinese government will continue with its policies. So China has a long-term perspective of history, of development. And China, in terms of elevation of poverty, China is one, if not the most successful country in elevating poverty. Majority of the population is being elevated from poverty. I understand there are still poor people around. I understand there's rural people. There's still a lot of problems. But as a nation, right? Compared to a big nation, even like certainly in India, right? Even US, they're regressing. Right? So there is something about the collectiveness, the collectivity, the shared responsibility of China that you might want to capture. Now, I know that I'm not really answering straight the question you posed me, but you are in the beginning stage of your PhD journey. So this is a great time to reflect, ponder, and go deep into. I forgot you're a language teacher, right?
I'm not a language teacher.
No, language teacher. I confused with another person again. Okay, maybe Hansen is a Hansen. Are you there? I think Hansen is a language teacher. Who one is a language?
No, not a language teacher. Not that.
Okay, so somebody else. I confused with somebody else. Uh, 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 so let me see whether we can come up with something that is that type of research. So it could be researching. You can go back to the top CEOs and ask them what is you know, your thoughts about CSR, and then bring back the Chinese constructs of social responsibility, of collective responsibility, of progress, of development, of prosperity, of community. Maybe there's something that, because CSR is a wide concept, yeah. There's responsibility to the community, responsibility to the environment, responsibility to the market, right? The customers. There's responsibility to the employees, right? Their own internal workforce, right? So I believe strongly that I think there's some philosophy in the Chinese tradition about responsibility as far as workers, as far as the collective is concerned, that can be extracted out and rekindle, revive. If it's not revived yet, I'm not sure myself. So my Mandarin, my Hanyi, 生锈了, rusty, very rusty. So
Yeah, maybe there are some similarities and some differences between the traditional Chinese collaborative and the CSR. I think maybe.
Yes.
I will try to find the connection.
Yeah.
It's really very difficult to find the. I think if you want to find a very unique or a very meaningful direction, it's really very difficult because so many scholars have do this kind of research with CSR and HRM. Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you what, if I'm a Chinese, right now, this is how I approach it. I'm studying my PhD, but don't do this. Must be your PhD, not my PhD, right? This must be. I would look at a number of dimensions of society or company or individual. Okay, what is the responsibility of the individual towards the society, to the environment, to the community, to the colleagues, right? So you can start with the individual first, and then are there concepts that, traditional concepts, right? Traditional doesn't mean 1,000 years ago. It can be 40, 50 years ago or something like that. And then I will look at the community or the collective responsibility, a certain construct there, right? So I probably can get maybe 5 or 10 different concepts or constructs of responsibility, and then I would take these concepts, the traditional or the local knowledge, Chinese local knowledge of responsibility, and then go and research and meet CEOs or top management and ask them, how do they relate to this, and how would this be connected to CSR, something like that. So I think there will be a different kind of conceptualization, and you can have a special focus on human resource. You can have a special focus on human resource, and as I said, the essence, Isabel, the big part of the Chinese Communist Revolution is about revolution of the employees, right? The workers' revolution, right? It's an empowerment to the workers, right? So that is the story. That is the whole idea, right? So you can have that special focus on human resource. You bring up the old traditional local wisdom, local knowledge. You can take some time from some knowledge or concepts that are born from the revolution, or even before that. You can go to Ming Chao or Tang Chao, whatever, the old dynasty. You can bring that concept and then that's how I would. I think that would be a great shift of 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 discourse decolonization of the CSR discourse, right? So you decolonize CSR from the Western discourse, and then you put in this sinologize the discourse. You sinologize meaning to make it Chinese, right? So now that is how I would like to do that if I'm starting my PhD journey in the CSR. If I'm a Chinese, I would do that with the language access, of course, right? And
Yeah.
that'd be great to capture that. Or I can also do a comparative study between corporate leaders and community leaders, and then political leaders. I can do that, that of
To
concept.
compare on what.
Yeah. That'd be good, and then you can decolonize or challenge or contestation of CSR philosophy, based on the Chinese local knowledge. That'd be fascinating. That would be really fascinating.
Yeah, in China we have many scholars do the research on, for example, the 儒家 Confucius 儒家
Confucius.
学派 to have the
Confucius.
Confucius the origin of the management.
Okay.
The relationship between this with the modern management.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have read papers like this. Yeah, 孙子、孔子、Confucius, this their perception, their ideas on the management. But I have never read papers like this kind of things as the origin of the CSR, the relationship between these two. I have never read this. Maybe I can find the connection.
Maybe I think that'd be a beautiful project, a kind of the Chinese roots of CSR, so to say. And right? But you have time to contemplate, deliberate, imagine, and explore this topic, but it has to be yours.
Yeah. But what do you think is the difference between nowadays? I mean, the CSR in China and in other countries. There are still many differences. I think it's really very hard in China, especially for those small and medium-sized companies to take responsibility. They don't have this kind of motivation.
Yeah.
I don't know whether in other countries.
I do think that I'm sorry to say, I do think that capitalism has spoiled the world. And capitalism, right? Has spoiled the world, and including people in businesses in China too, because of this search for profit, become the almost the new meaning in life is to get richer and richer and richer and richer.
Yeah.
So but my many years ago, I had a student. I think I told you she carried out research on CSR, right? So was doing masters, and then she graduated. And one of discoveries, right, findings in later on when she wanted to continue her research, was that there is a collaboration between the suppliers, companies, and buyers to not declare certain numbers, which means profits and costs and all that, so that they keep they share the profits amongst themselves. So so there is still that sense of sharingness, but within the network.
Yeah,
Within
not
the,
the chain, just like chain.
within the supply chain. Yes, within supply chain. So they might still be there, right? But I do not know how extensive it is and all that. But uh, I think that'd be something really meaningful, I think.
Yeah,
But
it's I do think it's meaningful, but I just want to find the motivation for the companies to take responsibility because just that's just why I take sustainability. You will say sustainable development for the company, but they will say, oh, I want to I want to live and
yeah,
to
yeah.
see tomorrow's sun, maybe
Yes.
like this, and the
Sure.
profit, this thing. So,
Yeah. Uh, and well, certainly the profit motive is an important motive, important part of the company.
yeah,
Company by design, uh, is profit maximization, right?
yeah,
But maybe we can discover other aspects of the company, right? The
mm,
heart of the company, the soul of the company. You might still find somewhere that can connect to
mm,
the. I don't believe that is completely disappeared from the. I think there's something there uh, that is still strong. There's not. It cannot go away that easily. Not in China, right? So I guess what I'm saying is that you might want to relook at this. If you like to pursue that kind of research, you,
yeah. I think it's interesting and maybe very meaningful
mm,
to find the history, and based on that, we can find more about the Chinese CSR.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Ming,
It's
can I add, because I'm
Go
doing
ahead.
the currently
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, correct.
the history of some of the history within the World Heritage Area on CSR. I think if you can interview people from the clan association, which I find it quite interesting, they will tell you how CSR have worked from the homeland attachment and here. So you can get a brief idea how CSR from the homeland have brought into Penang and how it have evolved. So it will give you how they have built the CSR in those days when they, in their country.
to
Uh,
make more interviews with.
No, no. I don't know whether you understand what I tell, Doctor.
can I have it interpret for you then? So in Penang, where USM
Oh,
is, all right, there are what we call the clans. The clans are based on surname. So it will be the Chi clan, the
oh,
Zhang clan, the
oh,
Zhao
surname.
clan, you know what I mean?
Oh, surname.
The
The family name.
the first name, the surname clan, right? So
Uh,
they actually, so in Penang there are those clans, and the jetty, right, Pravina? The jetty, you know what jetty is? Where where the different boats will converge to the fishermen will come together on a marine. Are you referring to that, Pravina?
Not Jetty is
Not
one of
jetty.
the clan. If you go there, they have like this secret society, these Chinese temples. Uh, Yes,
Okay.
all of them actually work on a CSR model, which is so unknown to us. So when we look at it, we feel like it was a donation. But when I went into CSR, then only Dr. Suryati also explained to it. Even zakat, even in Japan, all of them has that. It's just that CSR was coined, was popularized by the US, but actually we already been practicing it. The Asian culture has been practicing it, but it's just not to our knowledge. So one of the best model that they have is the Chinese Clan Association, which like the Chus, the Lims, the Guans, so which they have actually operating a very good CSR model.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. You have it in China, Jimin, like the Sir clan, like the the Li clan, the Zhang clan. You have that association?
I'm not quite sure what.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, maybe it's overseas Chinese phenomena, not quite the Chinese in China, Chinese mainland phenomena. Is as a overseas Chinese phenomena, the diaspora Chinese phenomena, maybe. I don't know. So the Li, anyone with the surname Li will get together, will form a society.
Oh,
You know what I mean? So they'll form a
yeah.
society. So you have,
Maybe in the past it's more common, but nowadays, especially in big cities, we don't think it's very common
yeah, maybe it's not.
community.
Yeah,
And in some very poor, maybe poor places or
yeah,
traditional rare places, and yeah, we will still have this kind of
yeah, yeah.
community.
I can imagine that. Yeah. So yeah, a different social context, yeah, Pravina. But very good point there. I see what you're saying. What is it to say? Okay. I think anyone else like to share the thoughts with Jimin? Anyone else? About CSR? About China? No? Yes?
I think this is really a very good community no, opportunity or stage to exchange information or to exchange the cultural background.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, quite different, I think.
Yes,
Is there a requirement for the any kind of mandatory reporting that we require by the government to report it? And is there anything like certain amount like India, like Malaysia, like if you make certain amount of money, you have to contribute back to the country. What is the CSR kind of application in China?
We have for example tax, right? For the company, if you earn enough so many money, you have to pay the tax to the government like this. And for example, in this year we have flood, not flood, 怎么说？洪水 flood and or heavy rain and make a big disaster, I think. So many companies will make a donation
Oh,
to the
so
refugees.
but there is not a mandatory
Not the main.
no mandatory.
Yeah.
You mean a law, right, Pravina? You're talking about law, yeah?
A law.
Talking about a law like in Malaysia, you must report your CSR activity. So
Yes,
is there a law if you are public listed? Is there a law in your country that you must report your CSR activity? Is there a law ask you to donate certain kind amount of your earnings for you to be there? Is that a law?
Oh, it has been written in the law, you mean, right?
Is it? That's Pravina's question. Is there such
Is
thing
there
in
a
China?
law that you must do this so that you get whatever. Is there a law that you must do to take care of your employees? Is there a law for the CSR of the employees? Is that those kind of laws?
The CSR hasn't been written in the law in China, I think. So that's why many companies will want to take the responsibilities. But for example, like some countries, the environment protection laws have been I don't know how to say, to protect the environment. I mean, so the factory can't just stick on their former production, and they have to obey the laws to protect the environment. Because nowadays in China, environmental issues has got more concern, I think, and the resource shortage like this to protect this natural resources, to protect the environment, and this kind of laws. And but to protect the laborers or the employees, we have the labor law, but I don't think that CSR has been cited in or has been written in this kind of law. Not that enough.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pravina, for the input and the question. Anyone else has anything you'd like to share?
No, thank you.
All right. Okay. We will move on to the next speaker. All right. Okay. Thank you, Jimin. Right.
Thank you.
Good. And then what the next move for you is actually to rethink about your work and come up with remember to come up with research questions. The research questions are the important part, right?
Yeah.
It can be whatever research question, but just write them down what you're interested to ask and pursue. So we will do that, yeah. And then we will arrange maybe not the next round, maybe two more rounds after this, maybe, yeah. So sometime November, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. To among my interests, I will focus on one and step further and further.
Yes, yeah.
Move on.
Move, yeah, keep on progressing, yeah. But it must be your research, right? People can suggest things to you, but it must be your research, not anyone else's research. Right?
Yeah, but you really give me inspirations and give me light.
Thank you. Coming to almost 5, we should be adjourning soon. All right. Oh, Han Zhen and Sun Hao.